body, professional structural engineer, is a body of professional structural engineers working for the fraternity with the objective to strengthen the knowledge base and to function as an influential think tank for the future growth of structural engineers. General public is benefited from IAStructE since they get a safe and a well-designed infrastructure provided by the qualified and skilled members of the association. This has a knock-on effect benefiting the economy by providing the employers with a competent specialist professionals. Public benefit is also gained from the ongoing professional support provided to the members by conducting continuous professional development courses to keep their knowledge and skills up to the date and being relevant. For more details about the association, I request all of you that you can log in onto our website and get more details onto it. In this COVID scenario, IAStructE has organized till date 9 webinars on various areas, and 2 panel discussions have been organized. And today we have the 10th webinar on the role of structural engineers in the society. And the next upcoming webinars are on 26th July and 5th August, which will be primarily on the area of wind engineering. So now coming to, I will also like, before I take this opportunity to introduce about the speaker for today, I have two important announcements to make. All the participants are requested to post their questions in the question answer box so that all those will be taken up at the end of the session. And with respect to the certificates, all those participants who require the certificates, they may email us at the IAStructE email ID. After verifying the attendance, who have attended the webinar from the beginning to the end, the certificates will be posted to their email ID. Now, I take this opportunity to introduce the speaker for today, Mr. Alok Bhowmick. He is the Managing Director of BNS Engineering Consultant Private Limited. As a bridge expert and a leading consultant, he is the current President of the Indian Association of Structural Engineers and an active GC member of CEAI. He is accredited to International P.E. India. He is a fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering. Mr. Bhowmick has written and published more than 60 technical papers in his career, spanning nearly 40 years. He has received many awards. In the year 2018, he was awarded with the S.B. Joshi Memorial Award for Excellence in Bridge and Structural Engineering. He is an active member of several professional bodies like IEI, CEAI, IABSE, IAStructE, ECI, and several code-making bodies like IRC and BIS. He is also the Chairman, Editorial Board of the Quarterly Journal of Bridge and Structural Engineer, which is published by ING-IABSE. With this brief introduction, I request the expert for today, Alok Bhowmick sir, to kindly share his views. Over to you, Bhowmick sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shilpa. Let me first share my screen so that I'm able to make my presentation. Is my screen shared? Hello? Dr. Shilpa, can you please tell me whether
yes, sir,
I'm audible?
Yes, yes.
And my screen is also shared.
Yes, sir, it's audible. You are audible.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So good evening, friends and participants. First of all, a big thank you to all of you for participating today, sparing time and spoiling your evening on a Sunday. I understand the difficulties. I also take this opportunity to specially thank the students. I think number of students are participating today from our students chapter. Special thanks to them because they are our future leaders. They are going to hold the baton for our profession. I hope that they will take important lessons from today's webinar and implement them. They are going to shape our future. Uh, Before I really get into the presentation on my topic, I would like to just brief as to why we have chosen this topic for the webinar. Uh, we professional structural engineers are currently facing a lot of professional challenges. Uh, these challenges, although we will not be discussing today, but these challenges have actually really prompted me to introspect about our profession. What roadmap do we plan for our future leaders? That means the young engineers. And therefore, I thought that through this webinar, let me share some of my thoughts about the role that we need to take in the profession and where really we need to focus. Uh, there are three distinct, challenges that we are facing today. There are a number of other challenges, but let me just give you a brief about these three challenges. One is the fact that, the profession of structural engineering is not a regulated profession. And this is causing a problem. This is affecting the safety of the structures that we are building. There is no way we are able to stop incompetent structural engineers doing the job. In the recent past, we have seen several failures of structures, and this is denting our image. And we feel that one of the way to curb this is by regulating the profession. For those who, I think many of the participants are well aware of this issue, but there are some who may not be well aware. For them, let me just mention what is meant by the regulation of the profession. You see, presently, the structural engineers are not regulated, and therefore, there is no way we can stop an incompetent person to carry out the structural engineering. Once the profession is regulated, like our medical profession is regulated, like our chartered accountants are in a regulated manner of functioning, like the lawyers, if the profession of civil engineering, structural engineering is regulated, it would mean that a person who is performing, their competence is time and again proven. They have to carry out these continuous professional development courses, and they will have to make sure they are updated with the knowledge. This is very important in our profession. And otherwise, just after passing out of the college, you can put your brain in deep freeze and still function as an engineer. That's not what we need to do. Second aspect that is a challenge to us is the fact that young engineering graduates from college are not industry ready and are not, majority of them are not employable. I think in the recent past in the newspaper we have seen that more than 80% of the engineers passing out are not employable, and this is a huge problem for us, both in the industry as well as to the engineers who are passing out. And I think a lot of work needs to be done. Although some initiation has been done by the All India Council of Technical Education, and they are sort of talking with Engineering Council of India, which is the representative of 32 professional associations. And I think a memorandum of understanding is there by which professional training will be imparted to the students for 6 months before they actually get the degree. But I think a lot needs to be done on this front, and of course today's webinar is not meant for that. The third challenge that we are facing is on the with the architects. Our architect friends are planning to bring an amendment to the Architects Act 1972, by which they are going to ring fence the engineers, which is throwing an added challenge. By this amendment of the act, what they propose is to bring the entire engineering profession under their ambit, which would mean basically we structural engineers have to play a subservient role to the architects, and that is something which we are challenging. Now, with this, I think background, let us move forward and start the presentation. My presentation is essentially, divided into four parts, rather three parts. The last one is only a conclusion. So the first part, I will talk about the how amazing, how incredible, and how awesome is the profession of structural engineering. Why is our profession so amazing? That's what we are going to discuss in the first section. The second part will deal with the need to improve our image. That is what needs to be done, because if our profession is so amazing, so awesome, and so incredible, then why are we not billionaires? So this is a question. So basically, the second section will deal with what we need to do to improve our image and to connect to the society. And in the third section, I will talk about how we should do it. Having identified the problem, first we have talked about the strength, then we will talk about our weaknesses, and then in the third section we will talk about ways and means by which I would like to the way I look forward to it, how we should tackle this problem. And in the end, we will talk about what role structural engineers should play in future. That is only a wish list as of now, but I'm sure if we move in the direction in which we are thinking, one day and not very distant far, we will definitely have our wish list fulfilled. So let me start with the first part of the presentation. Uh, Before we get into the details, first I have to define what structural engineering is all about. Let me begin by doing that, because many of the participants may not really know what is structural engineering. So, structural engineering is a branch of civil engineering. There are several branches of civil engineering like geotechnical, environmental. So structural engineering is a very important part of branch of civil engineering, and we deal with the design of structures. Uh, in fact, in short, we give the bones and muscles to the shape of the structure. Uh, for becoming a structural engineer, you need to have a graduation on civil engineering. If you have a master's in civil engineering, it is all the more better. And in fact, today the structural engineering profession has become so vast that we are looking for specialists. So structural engineering per se is pretty broad. We have further broken up. We have bridge engineers who are specialists in doing bridges. We have building engineers who are specialists in doing buildings. We have earthquake engineers who are only specialized in doing the earthquake engineering, and we also have wind engineers who have spent their life in handling the wind, in analyzing and designing for the wind. So it's a very vast structure, very fast field. And we not only do the original design, but we also check the capacity, assess the capacity of the existing structures. Many of you must be reading in the newspaper nowadays. In Delhi, people are talking about the safety audit of the existing buildings. This is a job which purely the structural engineers do. So in short, the structural engineering is a field where we carry out analysis, we carry out design of structures, we assess the existing structures, we ensure that whatever we designed, we at site it is executed in exactly the same manner, and we also sometimes we also do carry out load tests to ensure that the structure is able to take loads. Uh, this is a view of Mumbai at night, and you can see so many towers, beautiful towers in the skyline, and these are all, needless to say, creation of structural engineers. Can we just think or imagine a civilization without these structures? It's extremely difficult to sort of imagine. Uh, So structures are, essential for our living, and we are the reason for their existence. Uh, have you ever imagined what would you be looking at when you go out, maybe on a sightseeing outside India or even within India, for example? When you go for sightseeing, most of the, you know, tourist attractions are nothing but structures. You go to New York, you will not come back without seeing Brooklyn Bridge, which is a is a work of structural engineer. You go to San Francisco, California, and you will not miss seeing the Golden Gate Bridge. You come to Delhi, you will definitely see the Lotus Temple, the Akshardham Temple, the Qutub Minar. All these are structures, and what you see is the work of structural engineers. So, our profession is an amazing, incredible profession. We do creative work. We design structures that physically remains a testimony of our work, which we can proudly show to our children and grandchildren. Not many professions have this, opportunity. What you see here are several structures, and these I have chosen these structures carefully, which represents different periods. Some of the structures you see here are built in 14th century, 13th century. Some are absolutely modern, some are of 20th century, and they actually reflect something about the creativity of the structural engineers at the time it is created. And an experienced structural engineer with a background of history can look at the structure and tell you which period it belongs to, and what kind of architecture it reflects. In fact, they also hint at our identity, you see, as a professional engineer. How do we, can you ever imagine, these structures? How do we, those, I'm addressing this to those participants who may not be aware of what structural engineers do. How do we build this? How do we design these structures? We create, in modern days, we create in our computers a mathematical model of this structures. We blow wind on them, we shake them, we, simulate the earthquake forces. If it is a bridge, we also give water current forces, hydrodynamic forces into the model. If it is a base isolated structure, we put all those base isolation system and then see what is the deformation, what is the displacement or deflection. The software tells us the area where strengthening would be required or where the failure comes first, and we fix those problems, and we eventually come out with drawings based on which the contractor or the builder executes at site. And we also get ourselves involved in ensuring that what they finally construct is conforming to the drawings. So this is what we do. Imagine if we do not design these buildings for the wind or earthquake, what would happen? I mean, with a blow of wind, this will collapse. So, we have a lot of role to play in the design of structures, and I in fact believe that without the structural engineers, this entire built habitat would have come to a halt. Uh, this shows some of the connecting bridges in remote areas. Most of them are in Africa, and one or two pictures are from India in Uttarakhand as well. So even today, there are, let me tell you, there are more than 1 billion people living in this kind of conditions, living in rural communities. They do not have the safe drinking water. They do not have any proper sanitation, and they are in for them, any kind of connectivity is of great significance, because they can, for example, if you see the bottom left in Rwanda, this is a bridge which was built by Bridge to Prosperity, a community. And once the bridge is built, you can see all the children going to school. So structural engineers are truly a gift to humanity in my mind. They connect people, in areas where the only means of connection would be a small pedestrian bridge like this. I remember in 2013 when I was involved in this Uttarakhand floods, about 170 pedestrian bridges got washed away in these floods. And I was a member of the World Bank team, and I think that project is on. And I realized how the absence of a pedestrian bridge between the two hillocks could completely, keep one of the villages completely disconnected to the other side, where maybe the school is there or a hospital is there. So it is the structural engineers who are in the business of connecting people. And I would say that we are the gift to humanity. Unfortunately, the common people, the society, is not aware of this. We are in the business of connecting people, and this picture shows a failed bridge. When a structure fails, the community struggle, development stagnates, and we people suffer. It is our job as a structural engineer to fix this problem on a very fast track. We have seen number of failures in the recent past, and you must have seen how the entire machinery, political machinery, and the public uh, puts so much of pressure, and it is the structural engineers who comes to the rescue, and whatever firefighting is required to be done to do that. This is one profession where we remain a student, and we remain a student till we retire from the profession. So we have to continuously upgrade our knowledge. The codes keeps updating, and we have to keep ourselves abreast with the latest in the codes based on which we design the structures. And therefore, the profession is quite challenging. It demands a lot from you, but at the same time, it is very satisfying, because end of the day, you derive a lot of satisfaction. Our retrofit works that we do preserves the past. What you see here, pictures of structures which are there for last 2000 years maybe. This is the top left is a Colosseum in Rome, which was built in 70-80 AD. And if you go there, I had been to Rome about 2 years back. Almost on a daily basis, you get lakhs and lakhs of people as a tourist visiting this heritage. And 24/7, you will see that the preservation work is carrying on in some part of the structure. So important is the job of preservation of these heritage structures. Bottom left, you see the Pantheon in Rome, which is also about nearly 2000-year old. This is the first reinforced concrete dome there, and it is still existing. And amazing technology. In fact, all these structures, you can create stories on these structures, and these stories needs to be told to this society so that people are aware of how amazing is this profession. The top right, you see this Pont du Gard, France. It's an aqueduct, and this aqueduct is made of stone, which is simply, placed one over the other. There is no mortar. There is no mortar used in this particular structure. Just imagine how these heavy stones were placed at such a height, at that point in time. I mean, it's really amazing. These are our new structures, new construction, which is, built for the future. What you see on the left is, of course, famous, well-known Statue of Unity, the tallest statue in the world. And what you see in the right is the Sagrada Familia, Barcelona. If you go to Spain, Barcelona, you will see the construction which is taking place. Very interesting. This construction is going on for last about 130 years. It started in 1882 and it is still going on. It is planned to be completed in 2026. Amazing structural engineering work, amazing architecture. Everything is amazing there. As a structural engineer, you feel so proud when you go and visit these places. But if you see the Wikipedia of Statue of Unity, I've just presented it here. You will see that the name of designer, structural designer, do not appear here at all. A tallest statue in the world. We are talking about the sculptor. We are talking about the architecture. We are talking about taking the credit for building the tallest statue. But I think very rarely we talk about this as a structural engineering feat, and that is what is the issue that we need to discuss. So I have come to the end of the first section, and what we have learned, if I summarize, we have learned that the structural engineering is a profession that is indispensable to humanity. We are a gift to mankind. We save lives of people on a daily basis. It's because of our profession that we will have an economic infrastructure. If we stop working, progress of all humanity will come to a screeching halt. As a structural engineer, the structures we build remain for lifetime. Our creation is an object for sightseeing by the tourists, but unfortunately, people do not know about all the amazing things that we structural engineers do, and we need to do something about this. And this will be the part of my second uh, section, which is to do with the need to improve our image and connect to the society. Let us discuss now, frankly, our weaknesses. I know many of the participants may not agree with me, but I think I'm open to discussion at the end of my presentation for a healthy discussion. Now, the question is, let's think, why are we not billionaires or even millionaires for that matter? Why is it that our profession is not so well recognized by the civil society? We have, if you see this chart, we have about 119 billionaires in India, but none of them are structural engineers. Why is it that our professional fee comes to us only after a very hard negotiation with the builder or with the architect or with the contractor? When you visit a doctor or when you visit a lawyer, you don't negotiate the consulting fee. But why is it that when we structural engineers go and ask for a fee, there is a hard bargain, and we talk in terms of, particularly in buildings, I heard, though I'm not a building designer, but I have a lot of friends working in buildings, and I understand that the negotiation to this level takes place that, if you have a 20-story building, you are supposed to do only one intermediate floor and one roof and the ground floor, rest all are some same. So if this is the level of negotiation with us, then there is something wrong with our profession. Let us think why it is like that. Unfortunately, we structural engineers make news only when there is a failure. If there are 100 structures we build, there are 99 structures which is a success, but they are not the news. When there is a failure, that becomes a news. Why is it like that? Uh, yes, of course, we would certainly need to introspect as to why there are failures, and those failures are many. In the recent past, we have seen many, and in fact, any one failure, it dents our image and it affects us professionally in a big way. And I think this is one area where we need to really do a lot of introspection. Why is it like that? The second is that, what we find is even the society is not aware as to what is the role, what structural engineers do and what architects do. Many a times, a very nice building, the general comment of the civil society would be, what a good architecture. Uh, Even if there is a bridge, signature bridge, I have found many people commenting beautiful architecture, but nobody says that it is an excellent structural design. It's a state-of-the-art structural design. So I think this is one area where we need to really do a little bit of introspection. Uh, we don't get any entry in the podiums in case of inauguration, any inauguration ceremonies. In credit taking ceremonies, we don't really come in. We are not part of that. I have been invited in several inaugurations. I can tell you the projects that we have done, but we are sitting with the common people and not in the podium. During the podium, in fact, is filled with politicians, even the uh, the government engineers, the chief engineers. They are busy to ensure seat for the politicians in the podium. Even they themselves many a times do not get a seat there. And this is the plight of our profession, and I think we need to do seriously something about this. uh, I can tell you this picture is about a project in Delhi, which is a skywalk. And let me just inform you that there was a design competition held by Public Works Department Delhi for this skywalk. And there was a prize money of 1 lakh rupee for the best entry. We participated in this particular competition and we won the first prize. We were given 1 lakh rupee with a good certificate. But in the next day, newspaper was full about the project, about the all the photographs given by us, all the animations done by us was in the news, in the newspaper, but nowhere the name of the consultant who got the award was there. It was all full of PWD in the design competition. This is the design which won the first prize, but the name of structural engineer or the consulting organization was not there at all. Now, even the politicians fight openly to get a seat in the podium at the inauguration ceremony. We have seen that uh, in Delhi. But have you ever thought as to why do they do this? Why is it important to get a seat in the podium? Well, the answer is very simple. Because if you get a chance to sit at the podium in the inauguration, media will take your pictures. Your pictures will be there in print media or in the electronic media, and you get the attention. And we structural engineers are not getting attention at all. Something seriously wrong with us. Let me, give an example of how important is getting attention and what needs to be done. This is the picture of Andy Grove, who is the former CEO of Intel. When IBM started creating the PCs, way back in 80s, I think early 80s, when we just graduated, IBM had the Intel micro processor chip inside. Nobody heard about Intel initially. They were only talking about IBM. The IBM machines used to sell like hotcake. And this gentleman, Andy Grove, who was the CEO at that time, realized this. And then he changed his business strategy. He said that Intel chip will only be inside the computer if you put a logo in the at top of the computer. Unless you ensure that, we are not going to sell our microprocessor. And till that date and today, you can see all your computers will have a Intel inside logo in the computer in the front. So, so how important is to show that what you do must be also known to public. Why can't we structural engineers do something similar? I mean, we can tell all the builders that we will not take up structural engineering unless the structure displays, in a big signboard that structural engineering inside. I mean, of course, that's kidding. But at least we can say that the signboard, in the public building or where we are doing, Instead of simply saying that this is inaugurated by Mr. X politician or Mr. Y politicians, why can't we have the names of the structural engineer, the architect, the builder also engraved in the building? I mean, that is something which we must do. Uh, Coming to the next issue that is related to the architects, we all know that the architects and engineers, they are generally in conflict. They do not generally get along, and there is a fundamental conflict in the philosophy between architects and engineers. You know, the structural engineers want columns in a building, uh, while the architects don't want columns for open spaces. Architects want to dominate the profession. They want engineers to play a subservient role, which is not acceptable. But the fact remains that in many situations where many of us are working for architects, our paycheck comes from the architects. And a fact also remains that in a society, architects and engineers must work together for the betterment of the society. I mean, so I find sometimes, this fight between the architects and the engineers to be absolutely counterproductive to the bigger cause of societal cause. And I think both the professionals need to really think as to how do we get along, how do we work together for in the larger interest of the society, rather than uh, having a territorial issues. Uh, Focus should be elsewhere. Low fees are affecting our profession's ability to attract and retain the smartest graduates, and this we know. Brightest minds in the field are leaving to pursue alternative careers. In fact, many of our own children we are, yes, you see, they are not able to convince us as to, why they should not go to other profession, why they should stick to this structural engineering. So this is a very serious issue that should bother all of us, and we need to work to come out of this problem. Uh, you see, as far as the fees is concerned, just imagine that we get about, if you are working on any building or bridges, we get our fees in the range of about 0.3%, 0.4%, 0.5%, in this range generally for structural engineering. Uh, we design the structure and we are responsible for the structure for rest of our life and for the design life of the structure. Our fees is related to the construction cost. This, the building that we design and constructed, once constructed, the builder sells it for maybe 5%, 6% of the selling cost. And they do it maybe not once, but maybe twice or maybe thrice. So what they get from the building is many times more than what the structural engineer gets. And he is responsible for the safety of that structure till the structure meets its own design life. I mean, there is something seriously wrong in this system, and we need to really, worry about it. Many clients and owners, would try to argue that our profession is not about money. Our profession is about serving the people, and so why do we need a lot of money? Please don't believe in such arguments. Serving public is great, but serving humanity is also amazing thing, which we are doing in any case by, in this profession, being in this profession. But I think we can serve humanity much better if we have money in our pocket. And I have also seen many people arguing that, money doesn't buy happiness. They will tell you that, and I think I don't believe in this argument. Money is an important factor to bring happiness. In fact, it is because this profession doesn't show money that we are losing, very brainy students to come and join this profession. That's a problem. The people are not attracted to this profession only because they they feel that there is no money, and this situation must change. So what we discussed is in this section that we structural engineers need to connect more with the civil society and public. We need to talk about our profession in public and celebrate our success with civil society. We need to have good connection with media as well as people need to know that we do and what is the difference between an architect and a structural engineer. People must know that. We need to improve our understanding about the human engineering skills and human psychology. These subjects are not taught in engineering curriculum, unfortunately, but we deal with human beings day in and day out. So a good understanding of human engineering skill is important. So with this, we come to the most important part of my presentation, that is the art and technique of getting what we deserve. Uh, so in just to brief you about what are the areas where we structural engineers need to improve, I have just jotted down 5 issues and we will discuss these 5 issues. There are many others, but I think considering the time constraints, I think I will restrict myself to these. So first is, these are the areas where we really normally structural engineers do not pay much attention to. We don't pay much attention to human engineering skills, and I think we need to do that. We generally celebrate our success with ourselves within our own community. We pat each other and go back home very happy, feeling very happy and satisfied. But I think that is not sufficient. We need to celebrate our success with the civil society and also promote our role models. We need to improve our communication skill and the art of public speaking. I think that is where we are lacking. Most of the structural engineers, I find, I include myself also, that we do not communicate well, neither in the form of letters nor in the form of public speaking. And this is an art perhaps we need to be taught even in our academic institutions. We need to think differently if we want to succeed in our profession. We need to think out of the box. And also, we have often been blamed to be not so artistic and aesthetic in our work. But I think this, to some extent, we have to admit that this is true. That we have to spend little bit of we have to nurture our artistic sense and make sure that the structures that we design also have aesthetic values. Last but not the least, the most important part is that we need to stick to the core values of integrity and trust. So let us go into the details now. Let's talk about the human engineering skill. There is a research paper which is produced by Carnegie Institute of Technology. I think maybe 50, 60-year old, pretty old. It's available in Google. You can just Google it, you'll get it. Which shows that 85% of your financial success is due to skills in human engineering, your personality and ability to communicate and negotiate and lead. Only 15% is attributable to your technical knowledge and skill. And this is an important, statement. And I think we need to take it seriously. So with this in mind, instead of exclusively focusing on your conventional intelligence quotient, you should make an investment in strengthening your emotional intelligence, your moral intelligence, and body intelligence. These concepts may be elusive and difficult to measure, but their significance is far greater than IQ. And I think when I am telling you that what we should do as a structural engineer, so that our work is recognized, I would say that this is one area where we need to improve our skill. If you want to have a professional success and improve your image, pay attention to this EQ, BQ, and MQ as mentioned here. Why do you think human beings are created? Now, this question will have different answer by different people, depending upon your inclination. If you are religious, you may find an answer, in religious books. If you are a spiritual person, you will have a different answer. But for those who study human psychology, we will come to the realization that the human beings are created just for one fundamental reason. And that one fundamental reason is to make the life of another human being better. I mean, this is not a religion, or this is not something that I cooked up. This is a part of human chemistry, and in fact, that is the reason why you feel good when you do something nice to somebody. Now, this has an importance as a structural engineer. I'll come to that a little later. But just for the, for the argument's sake, let's see if, imagine, or just give one day a 500 rupee note to a street beggar, and you will see how he jumps, how you will see a smiling face, and you will feel so good. He will be so happy to receive this 500 rupee note from you. And he will remember you perhaps for the rest of his life. But that's not important. What is important is that when you give him a 500 rupee note, you feel very happy about it, and you will remember him for the rest of your life. And that is human chemistry. I mean, that is, you are going to get the serotonin rush, we call it serotonin shot. And this is a philosophy which, if we all adopt in our profession, it will do a lot of good. And many people do that consciously, subconsciously. But I think we need to realize this, that in our profession, I'm not saying that you pay 500 rupees to people. I'm saying that you need to make sure that you do good to your, whether people are your subordinates, your, colleagues, or your clients. Generally, as a consultant, as a structural engineer and a consultant, our philosophy should be to more than satisfy the client. If he is expecting something from you, you have to over satisfy him so that he is happy with you. He is satisfied so that he comes back to you. And next time when he comes back, he doesn't negotiate fees with you. I think that is very, very important. Next question is, what makes people like or dislike someone? Uh, I think in our day-to-day life, we have, this is something which we experienced day in and day out. We, many a times, in many offices, you like your boss. You would like to be with him. You would like to be interacting with him. You feel good. Uh, it can be reverse also. So many a times, you find your boss to be a bit repulsive, and you would like to avoid him. So, why do you think people like or dislike someone? I mean, what is the reason? And one reason that, that I can tell you is, from the perspective of human engineering skill, is that you like a person or dislike a person because when you are with them, you feel better or you feel, bad. I mean, if you like a person, you like a person because when you are with them, you feel good about yourself. That is why you like that person. So when you feel good about yourself, that means that person who is sitting opposite to you must be giving you some positive vibes, who is making you feel comfortable and making you feel that you are very good at your work. That is why you like him. When you like him, actually you are liking yourself. So if you adopt this philosophy in your profession, make sure that when you are interacting with your colleagues, your subordinates, or your seniors, or your clients, you make him feel good about yourself. And once you do that, the rest of the things comes naturally, you don't have to struggle hard to sort of, negotiate with him about your professional fee. And, the crux of the matter is relationship matters most. Another aspect which we need to do is, we need to celebrate and talk about our role models. If we want people to know about us and our work, we need to talk about the structures, the mega structures which they have built, and what kind of services they have rendered, their contribution to humanity, because that is how people will know, you know, particularly if you are trading through an area of uncertainty, then these role models gives you the path. And talking about them, publishing their works helps I think, the profession a great deal to deal. Even the society also slowly and slowly will come to know about them. And let me tell you, we have in India a large number of such role models. I have only projected 4 of them here in this, but there are many others. We have here Mr. Mahendra Raj's photograph. I can see that. He is 96 and he is the founder of our association, Indian Association of Structural Engineers. He has done a marvelous work in the field of structural engineering. Unfortunately, the civil society has not recognized his work so much. He is yet to get a Padma Shri, which he had long ago deserved. But that's the problem is, with our profession, it is the profession of structural engineering which is affected, because Mr. Mahendra Raj has not received a Padma Shri. Personally, he is not affected much. The profession is affected much more. It shows that we need to do something so that our professionals and our role models are recognized. Another area, where we need to improve in the profession is the art of communication and public speaking. I think, let's be very frank and clear, that we are poor in communication. We shy away from public speaking, most of us. And this is certainly, I mean, my address to the younger generation, younger group, is they certainly need to realize this and start working on it. We need to talk about our structures. There is so much to talk about them that every structure has a story to tell, and we must do this in an open society. Many a times we have seen, in media, in public forum, architects are trying to talk about the base isolated structures for earthquake safety. And I sometimes feel, very depressed. Architect is explaining how the base isolation takes place. And implied in that is that, the architect is responsible for the base isolation techniques. It is entirely the job of structural engineers. So these are areas. So my message to all young engineers who are participating is master the art of communication and public speaking. Don't shy away. I can tell you very honestly that I was myself, in fact, I am still like that, but I think 10 years ago, when I first hit the podium for public speaking, I was miserable. I was so bad that I felt like I'm speaking in a memorial service. And I, at that time, thought that this is the first time and perhaps this is the last time I'm speaking. But later on, I mustered enough courage and faltered, but continuously tried my attempted several times, and therefore I have the courage to speak. But I think this is something which the young engineers must inculcate in their habit. Uh, Another area where we need to work is, the artistic sense in structural engineering. As many of us would know, that in our brain we have the left brain, which is the logical side, which as a structural engineer we have completely trained it. I mean, we always use that. But the right brain, which is the artistic side, is not nurtured. It's the side which makes you different from the crowd. And it's very important that you be different from the crowd. Let me tell you that uh, this aesthetics in structure is not merely the responsibility of the architects. I mean, many a times I have met several engineers who say that no, this aesthetics part is not my cup of tea. This should be dealt with by the architects. That's a wrong notion. That's a misconception. When we build a structure, uh, I mean, there are many structures where architects are not involved. For example, in bridges, architects are not involved. So it is our responsibility to make sure that the bridges and the buildings that we do are aesthetic. And as I mentioned, that one day you will be taking your grandchildren to show that this is the bridge or building I have designed. What if these grandchildren tell you that uh, uh, this is not aesthetic, it's not elegant? So I think we need to really worry about this. We need to think differently if we want to be recognized. Because when you think differently, you are interesting and people listen to you. When people listen to you, they generally will follow you. And generally, if they follow you, you will get what you deserve. A good example is Apple. Uh, you know, Apple computers. Why do you think that their products are so incredible and innovative year after year? Because everything they do, they believe in challenging the status quo. You know, they think differently. They make their products beautifully designed. If it is a combination of, you will see very carefully, Apple products are a combination of technology and art. I mean, there is aesthetics, there is a high level technology, and they are different. So therefore, the price doesn't matter. People are willing to buy the Apple computers or other gadgets of Apple. They don't negotiate the price. So I would compare this product with our profession of structural engineering. We should make ourselves and put ourselves in a platform where people don't negotiate with us the fees. So our service have to be of that class. The last point which I would like to highlight is about the most important part, which is trust. We must win the trust of people around us. And the trust would be basically a combination of loyalty, integrity, and the ability, all the three put together. So, this trust is something which we need to build right from our, as a right from the beginning as a fresh engineer. Uh, how do we do that? I know it is not so easy. It is easier said than done. Because when we enter into an industry, we face many situation where we cannot ensure that we are doing an ethical work. That will be hypothetical, because many a times your boss will tell you to fudge the timesheets. You may end up somewhere where the vendors will be seeking favorable contract conditions from you. If you are in the supervision, construction supervision, many a times you will face a situation where you will be asked to endorse a inspection report where you may not agree with him. And if you are a young engineer and you do not have much say, I know that it is not so easy to say no, because then you will be either losing your job, or you will be going, you will not be in favor of your boss. So it is not easy, certainly not easy. But if you want to do this, your human engineering skills will come into action. That is where, the human engineering skill is important. You have to be very persuasive. You have to make sure that you do what is correct, but at the same time you don't hurt your boss, So this is an art. It is nothing which you are taught in your college institutions. This is a human engineering skill which you need to develop. There are some organizations where the system structure to nurture these young engineers or future leaders, uh, there are their system, to nurture the culture of integrity. But they are very few. I know one Tata Consulting Engineers in India who has a system. There are many other industry as well where this system would be prevailing, but majority of the organizations do not have this. And I must confess that even our own organization do not have all this system in place. But we are moving on this track, and we are moving on the right track. We are moving towards it. So, in summary, I would say that areas where we structural engineers need to improve, other than the technical competence, are following. First, to focus on human engineering skill, to celebrate on our success with the civil society, and to promote our role models, to improve communication skills and the art of public speaking, to think differently, to nurture our artistic sense, and to stick to the core values of integrity and trust. So, with this, I come to the last part of my presentation, which is the role of structural engineers, which is a big wish list. And this wish list is as follows. Structural engineers are broadly recognized and admired by the public for saving lives, protecting property, preserving the past, and building the future. Structural engineers are sought out as a policy leaders and problem solvers in all matters of community. Structural engineers initiate and lead the development of emerging and exponential technologies. Structural engineers celebrate their profession with high-profile events where they cultivate passion and enthusiasm for what they do. Structural engineers' education includes public speaking, marketing, human psychology, and the arts. Structural engineering attracts the most talented and the brightest students from leading institutions. Structural engineering fees and compensations reflect the profession's immeasurable contribution to humanity. And last but not the least, the structural engineers appear as inspiring characters in popular culture. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. Acknowledgement, my presentation is greatly influenced by presentations made in various forums by the following personalities. One, engineer Ashraf Habibullah, who is the founder, president, and CEO of CSI. Engineer Ian Firth, who is the past president of IAStructE UK. Simon Sinek, who is a motivational speaker on leadership and management, author of 5 books on the subject. And one, my good friend Jitendra Singh, a young, bright professional associated with CEAI. Thank you very much for your patience. And now I'm open to take questions.
Thank you, Bhowmick sir, for your lecture, for highlighting the strengths of the structural engineers, our weaknesses, and the ways on how we can get over it, the arts and the techniques of getting of what we all deserve as a structural engineers. You very rightly marked that we structural engineers, the credit of the structural engineers is required, which is lacking in the society. The low professional fees, which the structural engineers get. And the reason for this is the projects are being taken over by architects, and the architects are hiring us, whereas it should be the other way around, or the duty of an architect should be done by an architect, and the duty of a structural engineer should be done by a structural engineer, as the duty of a builder is done by a builder. It's not done by an architect. You very rightly focused on what we structural engineers need to improve on. Very rightly, our human engineering skills, our communication skills, and we should celebrate. We are all royal civilians, and we should celebrate our society. We should promote our role models. We should think differently so that the artistic requirement, which is from an architect, a structural engineer should also have that aspect. And you've also given the wish list for all of us. So thank you for a very nice lecture, which has also been appreciated by many of the participants, as they have very nicely given their comments in the chat box. So before I take up the questions, I would just like to tell all the participants that all those who want the certificates, they can please email us at iastructe@gmail.com, because we'll not be sending the certificates to all the participants. Only the participants who require the certificates, they may please email us and the certificates will be provided to them. So now, Alok sir, can we take up some few questions?
Sure, sure.
Yes. So I'll be just, okay. So now Dr. Abhay Gupta has put up that the aspect and the challenge is how to deal with the quacks. They are disrupting our profession.
Yeah, those are challenges I mentioned in the beginning itself. That this is a webinar where I focused on the introspection, the Atma Nirikshan. We have to separately deal with the other challenges which I mentioned in the beginning, and we of course have to deal with it, and that is difficult, but fine. But I personally feel that if we are strong from inside, then the other challenges reduces automatically. So I think more important is to put ourselves in a higher pedestal.
Right. The next question is by Mr. Hegade. He says that when the collapse take place, on media commentators are the architects on structural failure. This is the state of affair.
Yeah, very precisely. That's what I mentioned, that something is wrong with the society where they do not know what structural engineers do. And we only need to correct that. We have to make sure all the professional associations like IAStructE, like CEAI, like ACCE, all these professional associations who are working for the civil engineers and the engineers per se, we need to really do the course correct.
And everybody should know who the structural engineer is.
Yeah,
everybody knows about the architect. Everybody knows the structural engineer should be, like, the efforts put in by a structural engineer should be well recognized. Okay, so there is some question about how the load transfer happening here. I think this was with respect to the skywalk that you showed, where you have won the prize. I think at that time this question was put up, that how the load transfer is happening here.
Very good. Okay. So that is a technical question. I thought this webinar was, but yeah, okay. That, in the skywalk, you will see a tubular structure, which is a space structure. Actually, it is a space structure, and the entire roof element of the space structure is modeled. It's a part of the structural element in the design.
Okay, so I think there are some questions which are with respect to that the architect people have one registration in the Council of Architecture, but as a structural engineer, we do not have a common registration in India. I think you can put some light on the engineers bill so that everybody comes to know about it. Something.
Okay, so you see, engineers bill was initiated about maybe 30-40 years ago. Originally, it was initiated through Ministry of. First of all, there was no ministry who was identified to deal with this bill. Later on, after a lot of discussion, it was identified as Ministry of Human Resource and Development, who will take it forward. But that process failed in 2013, where finally MHRD informed the various associations that, look, we are not thinking of engineers bill now. It stopped. But good thing is, in 2018 or 2019, Mr. Sridharan initiated second time, and he wrote to the PMO, and through PMO, this came back again. And again, MHRD was asked by PMO to come out with the engineers bill. Through All India Council of Technical Education, a draft bill is now there, which is in a pretty good shape. And I can tell you that many of us are seeing light at the end of the tunnel now. Hopefully, if all goes well, by middle of next year, we should see these professional engineers bill through.
Thank you, sir. And the next is, can you put more brief on the Architects Act 72, and is it going to be a problem to the structural engineers?
Yes. So, see, presently the Architects Act, which was passed by Parliament in 1972, this act protects the title architecture. That means anybody who is not qualified as an architect cannot put architect in front of their name. So it only protects the title of architecture. It does not protect the service of architecture. Now, you see, architects claim that the planning of building is a service which only architects should provide. So they are trying to now, after having failed to change this act, they are now trying to amend the act, and they want to bring in the profession of architectural services as a part of this act. And in the profession of architectural services, engineering is also included there. They want to say that all the services in building, whether it is plumbing, architecture, structure, everything is a part of architectural services, and that should be included as a part of the act. And obviously the engineering fraternity is not happy with it, and we are trying to stop that. But as it stands today, the Architects Act only protects the title architecture and not the profession.
The next question is, if you would like to ask, give the details of how to get the details of the role models of structural engineering. I think on the web, Google, we can just Google it up, and or IAStructE can
Yeah,
take.
but you see what we have decided of late. If we have in IAStructE, we have a magazine, quarterly magazine, which is called Structural Engineers Digest.
Right.
And in the last week meeting, we had decided that henceforth, in every issue of the magazine, we will put one, article on the role model, and every time one role model, his history details and what he has done will be covered. But I think in by and large, all the we should talk about our role models very loud and clear to this in the society, not just within our community, as I mentioned, not just within the structural engineering fraternity. Within our fraternity, everybody knows who Mahendra Raj sir is. But
Yes.
how many people outside our fraternity knows about Mr. Mahendra Raj? Very few.
The next question is by Mr. Siddharth Shankar. He's talking about why people are giving importance to aesthetic value, not to structural engineering, and how structural engineering is directly related to the safety and stability. Everybody
Well,
gets attracted by something which is very
yeah,
nice to
see, it's
see
quite
to
natural,
eye.
It's quite
Yeah,
natural. If you like something aesthetic, even as a structural engineer, you appreciate. It's a
yeah,
very good aesthetics is extremely important. It is. Don't think that aesthetics is not important, but only aesthetics is not sufficient. If architect has imagined a particular shape or a particular aesthetics, to give bones and muscles to that shape is the job of structural engineer. And if he doesn't do that, imagine if architect has done a very good work, but the engineer could not execute it properly, the workmanship is poor, end of the day you will not get the same finish, and the architect's imagination will not be realized. So I think it is very important that we also respect the need for aesthetic design.
and sometimes like an architect can view something which is structurally not stable, and then comes the role of a structural engineer who actually have to take a, you know, then a step whether this thing is going to be actually come to the land or not. Because architect is, as a teacher teaching an architecture student, they are not at all, interested in knowing about that what the reinforcement needs to be put into, what is the grade of the concrete. They're not at all interested in this. They are just interested in the aesthetics, how good my structure is going to appear into. They're not at all interested in about the details of each structural element.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so move. Yeah.
you see, in architecture, they are nowadays being I think this sensitivity about the importance of structure is being taught now in architectural profession. I can tell you. So you see, we have to educate the our younger generation about all these. You see, I always say to my architect friend that architect and engineer's relationship is like that of a husband and wife. You know, they have
Yeah,
to go
go hand
together.
in.
They have to go. They have to get along, whether they like each other or not. So if you have to get along, it is better that you gel, and you work together. It will mean wonders if both the professionals can work together, respecting each other. The problem here is of respect.
Yes. Right. The question is why have we missed our failures as a profession in unison? A very important cause for low income is our low esteem about ourselves. The profession is unable to follow a code of conduct, especially in terms of demanding a remuneration worth the input we are making. And how our esteem goes for a toss, and in turn we lose the young, bright brains forever. This
Yeah,
is,
I
I
mean,
think, is putting up the recognition of ourselves, because
can
we are
can
we're
you,
taking up the remuneration for the.
Shilpa,
Can
your
I repeat it
voice
again?
is breaking. Your voice is breaking. Can you repeat again?
Okay. It is about the failure of our profession because of the low income that we people are taking, and because of the code of the conduct, especially in terms of the remuneration. So that is what is being put up. That why
You
is
see,
it is that so?
yeah, so that is precisely what the webinar I have talked about. Why is it so? Is because we have to first look at ourselves within. Why? See, ultimately the fee is market driven. Let us understand it very clearly. You may say that I will not take less than X amount, but if there are 90 people who are willing to do it at a lower fee, then after some time you will also bring down your fee. It is market driven. So we
But
have to
some,
change the market.
yes,
So
some
how do we
ethics
do
should
that?
be there.
We have to, you see, we have to, first of all, make sure that we provide service which is different class. And therefore, the client, you see, if you really see from the client's perspective, our fee is nothing, it's a peanut. If X is the construction cost, we are talking about
For
1%, 1.5% as a rational or reasonable fee, let's say, which is nothing. Nobody minds to pay 1.5% if they are convinced that by paying 1.5% they are going to get services which they need. But there are people who are willing to do it at 0.3%.
yes,
and
that is the
uh,
ethics.
and there is, I mean, the client is not getting convinced that if they get 1.5%, they will get a service which is far better. We are not able to give that confidence as a fraternity. That's the issue.
Next is what is the whistleblower policy?
Well, whistleblower policy is that if you, let's say, if you are working in an organization and you see some wrongdoing done by the organization, whether you will do a whistleblow, whether you will, you know, because the organization may not like you to whistleblow.
Yes.
But suppose there is some unethical work going on in your office, whether as a whether you would like be a partner in the crime or whether you do whistleblow. If you are doing a whistleblowing, then whether you will be penalized by the organization or you will be protected. That's the whistleblower policy.
Okay. Now other question. Okay, why structural engineering regulation act is not available in India? In case of developed countries, they have some regulations in their countries, but why such circumstances in case of Indian structural engineers? I think that has already been answered with respect
Yeah,
to PE.
yeah, yeah. That's a long story. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Okay, you may mention that structures are required for onshore as well as offshore and also airborne and space structures. I could not get that. Why not all structural societies across the India working on creating awareness in the society, like writing the articles daily in newspaper, magazines, and news channels, etc. We should work in all these areas from which we can create an awareness in the society.
Yes, I agree. And I think we are trying to do that.
And I think our SED, which you have just rightly said, will be a one step in this
Yes,
direction.
yes.
Okay. Uh,
I can tell you one thing that, I don't know whether Mr. Ghoshal is attending this, but I can tell you in Kolkata, in West Bengal, there was a media coverage of Howrah Bridge construction by Mr. Amitabh Ghoshal, who is the president of CEAI. And it was in Bengali, and it was hugely popular, and I liked it very much. It talked about the right from inception, how the Howrah Bridge was constructed, how it is being maintained now, and it's a very interesting story. And I wish that that particular thing is converted, dubbed in English and Hindi, in several other language, and shown in the national news. Similarly, there are many other, for example, you take Signature Bridge in Delhi. We should have it's like a National Geographic channel. We should have a media coverage of
documentary.
documentary of that particular structure, how it is built, how it was conceived initially, and that how this conceptualization is brought into construction, what are the challenges. If all these stories are told to the common man, then they
Yeah.
will have a fairly good idea of what structural engineering is.
Next is the last question I'm taking up is, can IAStructE standardize the minimum or the basic fees for every structural engineer?
Sorry,
Can
what is,
IAStructE?
can you repeat that?
The question is, can IAStructE standardize the minimum or the basic fees for every structural engineer?
Well,
That's
you
not
see,
true.
okay, we have a, we have published a guideline on proof checking of buildings and bridges. There is a published document. If you go to the website, you will get that. I don't know whether it is downloadable, freely downloadable, but it is available. And that particular guideline gives you an idea about the professional fees that you should charge for different type of structures, buildings, bridges, both.
I think Mr. Ganesh can take a look on it. Okay, so can I take? I think it's 5:24, and I can take up one question before we end up. Assuming after the Housing Society survey, the consultant reflects C1 in his audit report. Kindly explain the notion and how safe is the structure to reside and reside. Does the consultant convey the report to the government body?
Sorry.
I did not get. I did not get the question. I think
Okay.
it's like it's written that assuming after a housing society survey, the consultant reflects C1 in audit report. C1. Kindly explain the denotion and how safe is the structure to reside. I think the question is not rightly framed. We're not. If Mr. Narendra Dherwan would like to ask Vikas, you can please unmute Mr. Narendra Dharewan. Vikas, are you here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm trying
Can
to
you
find.
please unmute
Yes, ma'am.
Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Narendra? Yes, Mr. Narendra, can you please unmute yourself and ask the question? Yes, please. Mr. Narendra, can you please ask your question?
He is unmuted, ma'am, but he
Okay,
is not answering.
okay. So that's all for all the questions I think I have taken up. And
Ma'am,
if
some hands are raised.
some hands are raised, okay, so you can please unmute. We have 5 minutes. You can unmute one of them and they can
Mr.
ask the question.
It is Mr.
You can please mute Mr. Narendra. He's not there. Mr. Ramesh Babu, you would like to ask something, please? Dr. Harshvardhan is there. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Alok, I very much enjoyed this presentation. It is so
Thank
critical
you.
for us. It is so critical for us to look at ourselves every now and again and see which path to take and modify our route. Introspection is very, very critical for your own ethical development apart from the profession itself. We are part of the profession, so our own growth will itself reflect in the upliftment of the entire professional standard and the ethics by which we are governed. So that is something which is, it's not for the body to do or a body to impose upon us. It is for us to come into that paradigm where we ourselves are ethical, and that requires a sort of self-integrity, a self-ethical behavior on our part. So that was one thing I wanted to add. The other thing is for the young students who are probably on this panel listening in on this event. What we don't teach in our colleges, and which I'm very, very concerned about, is conceptual design. Beauty comes, form and function and beauty all evolve from a set of constraints based at site and the materials you have and the form shapes you want, etc. All that evolves through interaction. It may be interaction with an architect, a planner, maybe a multidisciplinary team, and so on. So the whole functionality, aesthetics, the location, the concept, all that comes from conceptual design and planning. And that is not taught in our AICTE courses, which is a critical lack, a fundamental failure, I would say, in our education system for building thinking, ethical, both sides of the brain, as you put it, are come into play only in the conceptual design earlier on in the structural phase of in the life cycle of the project. That is the other thing I wanted to add. And third, I want to tell you about, yes, celebrating. I did see my father there in one of the lower slides with one of the four
Yes.
I did recognize. It took me a while. It's a little faded, but yes, legendary T.N. Subbarao. Yes.
Yes, yes.
To celebrate where we fail to take credit for what we do and show that to society. I'll tell you about the Jammu-Udhampur rail link, where there is a bridge which is called Bridge 20. Railway numbers, they're bridges by numbers. And on that Jammu, it is a 154-meter truss span. 22 meters high is the height of the truss. And there are two such truss spans which were launched across a complete hollow valley on a 90-meter tall slip-formed pier. Both these were records in India at that time. And until 2 years ago, this 154-meter truss span, I got to know, held the world record, which we were not aware of at all. I mean, nobody celebrated this, not railway. We as engineers just designed it. We were not looking for some records. We wanted something to push the project and do it. And we came up with this innovative solution. And till 2 years ago, till China made a 2 into 156 by 2 meters, 2 into 156 span, again on a railway line, to beat our record, which had stood for more than 14 years. So that's, that is where we lack. I'm confessing to you that I didn't myself realize the importance of what we had done. The signature bridge on which we are consultants again. Yes, where is the celebration? Even at the inaugural function, it was all speeches by politicians, and none of us even got a chance to say anything about what we had spent, 8-10 years of our hard work in.
Yeah.
So there was no celebration for us. The moment was taken away. So the point really is we have to focus now on what strategies we want to take in order to push our identity and snatch it away, if necessary, from the architectural paradigm, if necessary, from those who are politicians who want to underplay our importance. But we have to forge our identity now. And this is what I'm appealing to the young minds here. Think more about getting dignity to your profession and be ethical, and see how you can speak more about the issues that our profession, and build up the sort of image in society, which Alok has very clearly put to you all today. With this, I want to just close.
Thank you, Dr. Subbarao. Very well said.
Ma'am, there is Professor
I think
Mahesh
Professor
Tandon.
Mahesh Tandon is there. So
Yes, and Dr. Ashwath Ambu.
words of wisdom from Tandon Sahab is required.
Okay, thank you very much. As usual, Alok, a very good presentation. But I would like to add a few things, because there are so many young engineers who are in the audience, that many psychologists have come to a conclusion that it is not necessary to be a millionaire to be happy. There are human needs are, first you must satisfy the basic needs, which means that you must have something to eat and you must have a house and maybe all basic amenities that you require to live a dignified life. The human being is not satisfied with that. Human being wants something much more, and that is something which is something to do with creativity, something to do with beyond what is just immediately available to you. And that, for that you have to search. Of course, in the olden days, we had yogis and people like that who had one way of leading a satisfying life. But in this day and age, that of course is a path which is always open. But you require something else. You require something which excites you, which brings you something else in life, which is more than just money. I've not seen very many people happy who have got a lot of money, but I can tell you there are a lot of people I have seen who are happy, who have created something. And so it depends really on what the young people of today, what their aim is. Is it only to earn money and keep on earning more and more money? Because I think that is one way to go, but it is not the way to go if you are looking for living a life which gives you some satisfaction. Money will not give you that. So you have to find some other opportunities, some other route. And one of the ways is that you get interested in the work that you are doing and bring the satisfaction in your life from that. And that is, to my mind, a structural engineer has a unique opportunity in that, because he's the only person who can create a structure, a monument which he can see during his lifetime. It is built, he can visit it. I think this is something which can give you satisfaction. It can give this satisfaction to your children, to your family, which no money can give. So this you must remember. I think that for the youngsters particularly, that please don't forget this. This is this is all the words of wisdom that I can think of. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vikas, can you please unmute Mr. Indrajit Ghai? He wants to say something.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir, please.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Bhowmick sir. Aapne, in the very much beginning, you said this program is especially for young engineers. You have posed so many challenges in front of young engineers. And I think in some other webinar on some other platform, you should give the solutions also to young engineers. वो तो already बहुत issues से घिरे हुए हैं. हमने उनको एक और challenge दिया. Number 2, जैसे अभी Mr. Tandon ने कहा कि भाई it is not only money, and he started with livelihood. Yes, livelihood is first. I feel in before livelihood it comes your health. कि तुम खुद तो भाई ठीक हो, खुद ठीक होगे तभी हो सकते हो अगर आपका infrastructure है. Thirdly, you said we are being paid as peanuts. मेरे को I do not know the background of this peanut जो word बोलते हैं. I feel we are not even paid. जो peanut के छिलके होते हैं उतनी फीस भी नहीं दी जाती. Peanut भी मिल जाए मेरे ख्याल बहुत है सर. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See, I just want to clarify that, you see, I have given the reality. Let the young engineers know the reality. I mean, I don't want to give a rosy picture of today, but I think what Professor Tandon mentioned is absolutely okay, right? That end of the day, it's not the money only which is important. But you see, the problem is if the young engineers do not see money in the beginning, they are distracted from that profession. So we are losing bright engineers right in the beginning itself. And the only factor there at that time, because what we are saying, professional satisfaction and all comes much later. You see, unfortunately, at the college, during the college undergraduate studies, you do not know much about what the structural engineer does, what is the difference between a structural engineer and a geotechnical engineer. You don't decide that, at that stage so clearly. At that stage, the road is wide open. So at that time, your decision is based on essentially the money.
Hello,
So we,
hello, Alok. Can I say something?
yes, sir. We have the pleasure of having Mr. Mahendraj with us. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It was a very good presentation. I think we need many more such presentations from our seniors like Mahesh and like Dr. and other senior people, because I think the society must be told what is the role of the structural engineer in order to create built environment. I think they should know that built environment is not a single person's effort. It is a multidisciplinary effort in which architect plays one role, but that it's an important role. But architect is there, structural engineer is there, electrical plumbing services engineer is there, environmental engineering is there, landscape architect is there, planner is there, construction manager is there, contractor is there. There are so many disciplines. So built environment requires all these disciplines, and the way to do the best product is that a number of the key disciplines should get involved with the project right from the beginning, from the concept stage. The structural engineer and the services engineer and the architect, the concept should not be frozen unless the three of them clear it. And then the structural engineer can sort of contribute quite a bit to the shaping of the concept, and then you get a very good product anyway. But I just wanted to add these few words to all that you have said. You have put it very well, and I think our association should make it a series, that on this topic, some more lectures are given.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Your point well taken, and we will do that.
Yes.
I think Mr. Ghoshal, Amitabh Ghoshal is there. I think we can give him a chance.
Yes.
Hello.
Vikas, can you please mute all others except Amitabh Ghoshal?
Hello.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
you are
sir.
audible.
Yes, I was listening, and all that I can say that whatever you have told is true not only for the structural engineer, but engineers per se. Engineer as a community in India is in a very, very low profile image, and while naturally as a president of Institution of Structural Engineers, Association of Structural Engineers, you have raised it for the structural engineers. But as such, the engineering community requires whatever you have mentioned. So this is a lecture, this is a theme which should be addressed by all engineers so that the profession gets uplifted. We are allowing this profession to be downgraded, and as you rightly said, We are remembered only when a failure occurs, and then you try to find out who had engineered it. Before that, nobody bothers. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I
So
think
can we?
we have the president of ACCE also, Dr. Ashwath.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you very much for a very nice presentation and a moral booster at this time of crisis. Because all of you are talking about young engineers and the student community. I just wanted to make my point because I'm also the principal of an engineering college. Now, AICT has taken a lot of initiatives to give the necessary inputs to the students before they come out of the campus portals. They've introduced internships. Now it is mandatory in most of the colleges. The interdisciplinary projects are possible now. A civil engineering student can do a project with any other engineering discipline, including architecture. And a lot of open electives are introduced in all the semesters. Students can choose, other than civil engineering, also some of the subjects and make his interest in the learning. And finally, it is a outcome-based education. And for all this, we need more and more involvement of the professional societies and the industry so that the young engineers learn necessary skills and they'll be useful and in the industry. And they will also be interested in working in the industry because today morning also we had a similar kind of program organized by SCC. There also this issue of initial salaries and other things came into discussion. But as you and others mentioned in the beginning, you should not think about the salary structure and other things. So we should learn the tricks of the trade and be popular in understanding the subject, and then should look into the aspects of the earnings and other things. So I just wanted to mention that as it is mentioned in various platforms, the present day engineers are not employable. I am not somehow not agreeable to that. As engineering colleges, we have our own limitations. We try to give as much as possible to the students, and if there is a proper support from the professional bodies and the industry, then the quality of the graduates will be better. I just wanted to make this point and once again compliment you for this kind of talk. As Amitabh also mentioned, it is not only for the structural engineers, it applies to all the engineers in the present day context. And we need more and more such talks from all the bodies. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ashwath.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, this is Mohammed Kazim Ali from Hyderabad, sir.
Yes,
sir,
yes.
Sir, actually, I'm a structural engineer. The most used word is in the webinar that the young engineer from Hyderabad. I completed my structural engineering in the year of 2015. So I really very thankful to you, sir, because you have given a wonderful webinar. And after hearing this webinar, I feel like I have a very strong structural engineer's background. So I just say thanks to you. And one more thing, my question is, sir, I recently I registered a structural consultant company. I started my own business. So one thing is there any platform, sir, where if we stuck in some problems, if we save some problems, so is there a platform that we can directly approach to the senior structural engineers, or is there any organization so we get some registration from there if we stuck in some problems, so we get the solutions from the senior engineers? So that's my question, and I'm very thankful to you, sir.
Thank you, Mohammed ji. Are
Kazim
you a member
Ali.
of Indian Association? Thank you, Kazim Ali ji.
Ji,
Are
sir.
you a member of Indian Association of Structural Engineers?
No, sir.
So kindly, take the membership, and all your questions that you mentioned, that if you want to consult a senior for any problem, then I think IAStructE is a good platform where you can use the platform, and we collectively, it's like a family where you can discuss any of your problem which you are facing in your office, and we can help you. So
Sir,
be a
wait.
member of Indian Association of Structural Engineers.
Indian Association of Structural Engineers.
Yeah, Indian
Okay.
Association of Structural Engineers.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So we come to the end. I think if there are no more other who want to express themselves, so we come to the end of the webinar of a very important topic of the role of structural engineers in the society. So thank you to one and all, especially Mahinder Raj sir, Mahesh sir, Harshvardhan Rao sir, for giving their inputs, and Alok Bhowmick sir for a very enlightening lecture about what our role is and how we need to improve upon. So thank you to one and all the participants for sparing the valuable time. So looking forward for the next webinar that we have on 26th July, that is by Dr. Lakshmi Parameswaram on the wind effects on structures and the wind tunnel testing techniques. So looking forward, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you one and all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. It was a pleasure.